Welcome to Radiance and Rosé, the podcast about anti-aging, beauty, and lifestyle.
Welcome back to another episode of Radiance and Rosé. You're here with your hosts, Aaliyah
and Joy. Hey, so happy to be back here with you guys. And today we have a guest, and an amazing guest at that, Quinn Murphy. And Aaliyah, do you want to introduce Quinn?
Yeah.
So much.
I know. Quinn is like a makeup artist extraordinaire. You may know him from his work on shows like Project Runway and The Face, but he also has done a host of editorial content and advertising, and is a red carpet go-to.
I mean, he's done beauties like Lily Aldridge,
Oh my
who I
gosh.
am obsessed with.
Obsessed.
And she doesn't age. Like I think it's about her
How
bone
old is
structure.
she? Yeah, how old is she?
I have no idea.
Let's not say that on.
Yeah, let's
shouldn't
not.
even
Okay. But not only her, she has Olivia Palermo, which I like. So fascinated by this woman. So
I work out next to her.
You do? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I need the scoop. Also, Kate Hudson, Dakota Fanning. I mean, Carly Kloss. I mean, the list goes on and on. But so happy to have you here.
Welcome, Quinn.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. We thought today would be the perfect, I mean, it's been a little while, and but it might be the perfect time to talk about the Met Gala, because that just happened for us.
It just happened, right.
You know, we would love to know, what we're super curious about are sort of all of the red carpet hacks. Like, what are the red carpet tricks of the trade? Just because we need to know for ourselves. Absolutely. We're not walking down nary a red carpet, however.
Right. But we want to feel like we are. Like when we see each other, we're like, hey, you look great.
Yeah, we're just doing it for each other.
Right,
just
totally. That's fine.
So specifically, I guess the Met Gala is, I think it's probably been my 7th or 8th, at least, time doing it. And with Lily Aldridge in particularly, probably around 5 times, I think we figured out. It never gets easier. It always feels stressful, and like the stakes are really high. I think more than any red carpet, I've seen people the most nervous for the Met Gala over everything.
Walk us through, what does that look like? What does that day look like for you?
Well, usually people stay either at the Mark Hotel or the Carlisle, because they're right by the Met. Yeah. And they're crazy. The elevator, I mean, when you get there, you could be in a line of 20 people just to get to your floor.
The elevators are really small.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, both. Yeah.
And then once I've had 2 clients be, in the Carlisle, and you try and get from the 4th floor to the 11th floor, say, where your other client is staying, because you go back and forth. And I waited 45 minutes for the elevator to open. And then when it opens, it's filled with 15 people, and you can't get in.
The most frustrating.
So I remember when you're just putting my my luggage, which is really heavy, and just going up that many flights of stairs. You just want to die by the end of it, or drink lots of rosé.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you're a nice, strong man, right?
Oh, God, thank you. I thought you'd never mention it. So the Met Ball, it's really, I'm lucky that I get to do Lily, who likes to take risks and likes to kind of lean into the theme. And, but it's scary because there's so many photographers. It's on steps, which in itself, it's terrifying. I think you guys wear heels probably every now and then. And
of course.
Just walking in heels, not being photographed on steps like that is
it's like Wipeout
scary.
Central.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then there's just always kind of this guessing game about the theme. They tell you heavenly bodies and Catholicism and fashion, but you're trying to interpret that. You don't necessarily know until after you've seen the exhibition what that really means and are you on the mark, and is it, it's a fine line. When you do editorial, you're right there on set. You can see the monitor, you can adjust it, you can start from scratch and say it's not working.
Yeah.
Once that person leaves the hotel, that's it.
Yeah.
And that to me is the
most
nerve-wracking thing about doing red carpet is there's so many elements that are out of your control.
Totally.
So the lighting,
you don't follow them to the gala just to freshen up and make sure
the Met they can't even I mean, it's so tight and packed that I think they just started letting their publicists, one from their whole agency, be on the red carpet. So it's like you can't the security and everything.
There's no
that's
entourage.
It. They're gone.
No entourage.
Yeah, I'm short of someone performing. Probably could have someone come, but so that's the most thing, is trying to find that balance of maybe doing something creative or pushing a little bit with the beauty, but also not having the photo come back and being like, okay, well, that was a complete miss, and like
Right.
that's scary, or that looks terrible, so it's a educated guess that you just hopefully over time you get better at knowing what.
Right. And then how do you balance? I mean, I guess the most important thing is the picture, right? So you're mostly concerned with picture than actually in person. So so you have to be kind of heavy-handed just to make sure. I mean, how does that work?
In the right way. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm not, some people are, I'm lean more on a lighter hand, I think, than a lot. I think it's more about knowing light and how to bring something out without it necessarily looking heavy-handed.
Okay. And I can't wait to hear what that means. I'm like, how do you actually do that?
I want to know that, and I also want to know what your interpretation of this heavenly bodies was. Like, what did that mean to you, and when you were sort of thought about doing this makeup?
Yeah, well, I did another client of mine, Katie Lee, who's a friend as well, and she kind of leaned into the whole theme a little more in terms of her wardrobe, hair, and makeup, and that the references were photos of like kind of Sistine Chapel and classic
right. Okay.
Catholic like paintings and things. So that was more of a painterly kind of a little cheek, a soft eye, and kind of something a little ethereal about it.
Yeah.
With Lily, her dress was it was called Vatican Yellow, but it was so striking that I really had to just go from, I mean, you can have a theme, you can have the kind of context into which the person is, but it always has to go on what they're wearing and who they are.
Right.
So with that dress, it kind of, it took priority over the theme of the Met Ball this year.
Yeah.
So I just did what I thought with, she had this statement Bulgari
I see.
jewels
Yeah.
and that color. And so, the limitations that a dress can put you in is also what makes it exciting. So you're going, wow, this is a really like shockingly beautiful, bright color. I'm not going to necessarily, put another third color on your eye and another color on your lip. It's, you're trying to figure out how to do something impactful, but have it, be in harmony with what she's wearing.
Right.
Yeah. So I really went with, we talked about, we did a fitting on Saturday at Ralph Lauren, and that was great because I did her just beautiful, kind of very natural, like a model would at a fitting, and got to see her in the dress. And honestly, we could have gone that route. And then I thought once they put all the jewels on and I saw her actually in the gown, I thought it needed something because she couldn't just be bare and then have all statement jewelry. It would have looked underdressed,
right?
Makeup underdressed for it. So I thought having the eyeliner, kind of a little, bitchy eyeliner, would kind of dress up the face, but also keep it in a neutral palette that would let that color just really come through. Yeah. So
what's great about it is that it doesn't compete with the dress, and it's like it brings the eye upward, right? So you kind of have like all of this going on down here,
right?
And for the audience, I'm sorry, like we're kind of jumping in, but if you just go to Lily Aldridge's IG page, she has a stunning picture of herself. But you get a chance to kind of see that the bottom of the face was kind of just very natural.
Yeah. Also, there was a deep V.
Right.
So it was if she had a higher neckline, I think you could have done a lip with it. But because of that deep V, it gave it a softness. Whereas like I felt like a real color on the mouth would have been clashed with it. I think
that's right.
There was a softness to it.
Totally. Yeah, no, I love it.
So that's kind of where and Bryce Scarlett, who does her hair, and I do her makeup, and Lily, the three of us have worked together for, probably 6 years. So we've really in a routine. We all say what we think. It's kind of very collaborative. So that's where my mind was. It's just looking at the whole picture. I think a lot of times I would tell younger makeup artists or women who are doing their makeup at home, like, step back. It's like you can do the most amazing makeup in the mirror and you're this close, but you've got to step back and look at the whole picture, because that ultimately, what you were saying earlier, it is about a whole picture. It's about that image.
No, it's so interesting.
And I don't want it to go, well, that was, really beautiful, but I would have done something different with the makeup. You want it all to be one story.
One story, right?
Yeah, so it's like it's almost like building a character.
Yeah, so I the other week I went to a gala and I saw the pictures afterwards, and I was like, I was way too heavy on the contour and way too heavy on the makeup.
I remember that.
And it was like my hair was out. It was like, and I was a mess, right? But I thought I looked amazing, right? So when the pictures come back, I'm like, I kind of look a little drag. Like I think I was just way too heavy and trying to like make my eyebrows kind of stand out.
Right.
So that was great advice. Step back, take a look at the entire picture. A lot of times when you do your makeup at home, I put my hair back just so it's not in my face. But then you let all this hair out, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
To take in.
You have to. I actually do my hair standing up with my outfit on, because then I can like see what's happening.
That's
very
smart.
much.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like standing usually, and I'm looking, because it looks different standing than like. I kind of do a little bit of that, but
Right.
I totally agree. So what are some things that are some tricks, like when, for a red carpet, you want the makeup to stay, you want it to look good on camera? What are some of the things that you would suggest? I mean, for us, if we're just, as
the
we get
number one
followed by
thing when you're
paparazzi at
doing your
home.
makeup is you need good light. Like that, I travel with a light that's almost the size of an iPad, and it sticks onto the window. A lot of makeup artists use it's
we
called
need
the
that.
makeup light.
Okay.
And women who travel a lot, and because most of the time I do women's makeup in a hotel room, and they're sexy and nice looking, but the lighting is not good, especially in New York. It can be very dark.
Yeah.
So if I can't do good makeup without a good light.
And you actually you get the natural light from the window, and you
If natural daylight is a really like pure read of color, and so if it's day, like today I did Alison Brie in her suite, and we had almost 360-degree views, and so on each side we had windows and in front, and we just opened the windows, and there's nothing more you need.
Right.
Or if you're in a studio like Spring Studios, you just sit them as close as you can to the window, at least for doing the skin. Sometimes then I'll turn the chair to the lights, because that might mimic more what it's going to be like under the set. So there are times when it's better to have artificial light, but in general, if you have a window, like do your makeup in front of a window. It's the most accurate read. That prevents you from having different color face to body, or having lines that you don't see. Things aren't blended. If you have really honest light, and then if you can look good in that light, when you go into different lighting scenarios, if you look good in the most honest light, you'll look even better in candlelight or in any other lighting situations, because it's like when you're in the bathroom on an airplane and you're like, this looks terrible, but then you see everything, and if you can like see everything, then later on, it's never going to be that harsh.
So how do you prep? What do you prep with? Because we've used like Relaxin mask to kind of like firm up and kind of bring everything up, but we might microcurrent beforehand. How do you prep the skin before
So
you start
sometimes
the
I'll do a mask, especially if the girl is having hair and it's not, I just want to prep her skin and not, be in the way, or if there's a lot going on, I'll just put a mask on. You have to assess the skin. I always feel it with nothing on, and just kind of feel like, does it feel dry? Is it too oily? Is it like, I want to bring the skin to an almost neutral place. Like I often think about if you guys have kids, like maybe you've had this experience where you look at them in the light and you're like, wow, that's what
All
skin
the
should
time.
look like.
Yeah.
all the time.
That's
Every
what
day.
I'm trying to recreate when I do skin. I don't want to say necessarily like, that's a beautiful contour and highlight. I'm trying to say, wow, you just look like you have the most amazing skin.
love that.
And what do you do? So it's harder because you're not showing off necessarily. You're more trying to be sneaky.
Yeah.
But just to make it look, like you just have amazing skin. So I'm always trying to assess what is going on. And then you kind of have a range of products where if someone has really oily skin, I want to take that down, and even if we're going to make it dewy, just because whatever you do on top of the skin, if it's not the right texture, it's just the makeup can slide off. The makeup might be dry and cakey. So that's really important, is to kind of take the time to assess what's going on.
That's excellent.
So are there any products that are like your go-to for, like, let's say taking down or providing moisture?
I love face oils. like Linda Roden has
Yeah.
a beautiful one. I think she came out with them. They were always around. Like Indian and Asian cultures have always used oil as moisturizer.
Yeah.
But in America in the 90s, everything was oil free. It was like, it was a bad name,
Yeah.
you know? And I think that hers came out, and then I've seen the industry change. And now
Change, right.
everyone has an
Tatcha,
oil.
it's a good lot. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of really great ones. I like that, especially for mature skin, as someone who really lacks radiance and needs extra moisture. Or
Radiance and Rosé.
I'll mix it. Yeah, I'll mix it with a rich moisturizer, almost like together, and then put it on and let it kind of sit in. If someone has really dry skin, you can use even like witch hazel from Duane Reade and on a
Really?
cotton pad, and it just kind of takes down the excess oil. You then want to use a primer with someone sometimes who has oily skin. I really like Hourglass has a really great primer that
Veil?
does,
Is
yes,
that
the
Veil
mineral veil. It does. There's a lot of good ones. That one I find in particular does give a lot of staying power to the makeup, right? So if I'm doing someone and they're going out to a party like the Met Gala and going to be out for 5 hours, I don't want them to look like they've been
Everything
swimming,
slid off their face
slid
by
off their face.
hour or two.
But I wouldn't necessarily put that on an older woman who's needs as much moisture and radiance as possible. So there's no one rule for everyone.
Yeah, you
Right.
kind of like make an assessment.
Right.
Once sitting down, touching the skin, feeling texture.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess, with the contour, what do you think about contouring? I know contouring at this point is like as big booties, right? So
I know.
what do you think about
I like the latter. I like the big booties.
I need to get one. I don't have a booty. I'm booty deprived. It's okay.
The contour, it's really overused and abused. It's necessary sometimes, and there's certainly like a place for it. And, it's like that grayscale. It's like contour now is being done on a level 10. Well, you could do subtle shading and things that, makeup really is all about light and shadows, whether it be framing the face, like I'll do something sometimes where I'll just almost like watercolor and tap on a warmer or contour color around the edges of the face, but there's no hard line. So it's kind of giving you that dimension, but it's not like, artificial looking.
Line.
Contouring in real life is crazy. I mean, usually a little bronzer, a little bit of shading can look nice if you have a very light hand.
When I said I overdid it,
Yeah.
I was snatched with my
I saw the
contour,
photo. I'm not
and
going to disagree. It was a lot.
It was a lot going on. I'll show you, but I'll show you offline.
I want to see it. Yeah. It's definitely something that I do and I'll use. And sometimes it's necessary, but on other times, we're already at 18 minutes. It's overused. It's definitely come from the kind of Instagram beauty thing. It's not new. It's been around forever, the idea of contouring. It's just kind of had a comeback. I think eventually the anti-contouring will come in because it's fashion. Like nothing lasts forever.
Well, it's so trend. It's definitely trend,
Yeah.
and I think that, I look at pictures of my mom, say in the 60s, and she did contouring.
Yeah.
I'm like, but in the 80s, it was no contour. It was like a red lip and big hair. It was like, you know what I mean?
Well,
So-
still, no, my mom would do that suck in the cheek and do like the dark here and the lighter. She did a little bit of
I'd just
contouring
say if
in
you're
the
into it, lighten up. Like take your foot off the gas a little bit and, make it more. Oh, is there a contour? Or is that just shadow as opposed to, like obvious contour? I don't know. I judge people if I look at them and they have a lot of contour. I don't know. I'd probably say really mean things in my mind when I see them. But it's like, it just looks garish. It's not my aesthetic. That said, there are times when, if you are in a situation where there's a ton of light and you're being photographed from a paparazzi, which is one light source, right? It's not like a film set might have light all over the set and it's very balanced, right? The one light source from a paparazzi is it erases. It's just boom.
Yeah.
So in that case, or if you were, say, like Oprah Winfrey always had really beautiful light, but strong.
Right.
You wouldn't want to do some subtle shading or contour because you don't want to look like a thumb.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you want to
Just
just be
totally
erased.
washed out.
Right.
That said, my version of contouring, it wouldn't necessarily be what many people, you know, it's probably a lot lighter than what, you know, some other people would do.
Yeah.
That's good to
No,
know.
for
So, I mean,
sure.
I guess, you know, if you had to just impart, like, you know, maybe, I don't know, some tricks that, you know, the average person that wants to be fabulous and wants to be red carpet ready,
Yeah.
could you utilize, what would you say? Like, what tricks would you?
I would say for photos. So let's say like this person is going to a party or something. Yeah, I would say you definitely need a little bit of powder in your T-zone. I think everybody's seen photos where you want to be shiny on the
God.
top of your cheekbones,
Right.
or you know your cupid's bow, or down the bridge of your nose. You don't want to be shiny on either side of your nose.
Right.
I'm
Which is a
constantly,
huge
that's where I
never
live.
flatter.
Like
Right.
my Dewey just goes like terrible. It's
Yeah.
like, it looks so bad in photos.
Okay, so powder.
So I would say like an invisible or loose powder, like putting that in your T-zone across the, you know, the top of the brow, down the sides of the nose, so that you leave the rest, but you don't have to put it everywhere. You don't want to look
Right.
matte. It's not
Right.
very modern looking, but you definitely want areas of your face that are, you know, not shiny.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of across the board. Every makeup artist does, and I don't think we think that we know it, but I don't think that
No, the average
necessarily the
person does
average
not
person
know, right.
thinks
No.
about that.
And do you use blotting papers for that? Or you think
Those
like
are
a
great.
or like a
blotting
translucent?
papers, like usually women now, the clutches are very small. They're like,
Yeah.
can barely fit their phone and one other thing. So I'll give them a few blotting papers, a Q-tip, just if you have a
smudge.
Yeah. And the lip, or,
Yeah.
you know, and then that's kind of like what you need to maintain
Yeah.
your look. I would say really work on making the skin beautiful, because that, you know, that's what's going to make you look the most beautiful in a photo, to
Absolutely.
me.
Right.
Yeah.
What else? Do you have any question? Like,
No, I mean, I think.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's so
think
much.
That's, there's a lot here, and I
No,
think
there's so
you know,
much, right.
don't forget your
any-
body. Sometimes it's nice to, if you are going to highlight, you can put a little on the top of your cheekbones or whatever. And sometimes it's nice to put a little on the tip of your shoulders or your collarbone. You know, just
Right,
like
to
a little bit of
highlight.
highlight, so that it's sexy and it just
Yeah.
continues the look all the way down.
Right.
And then obviously, you know, don't forget to moisturize your legs, or like put a little concealer on your feet if you have, you know,
Yeah.
like red or like, you know,
Hammer
unattractive
toes and
hammer
Actually,
toe,
no, I
unattractive
literally have
feet.
concealer for my toes, so
What?
different
What is
conversation.
going on?
And find
These
your
are new
light.
things I'm learning.
That's the one thing I would say, like models or actresses take better photos because they're so used to having their photo taken. So
Yeah.
if somebody's like, you can turn your phone on and spin around and look for where you look the best. And it's usually facing the light. Like, don't face the dark area. You want to be lit.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
you know,
No, it's
find your
true.
light. That's the most important thing about any photo.
So all these like people who go out every night and take a million selfies, like we have no idea if they actually had any fun. But if you're going to go out and just take pictures, any angles that work better for people for selfies, and or if you're taking a photo, I know that on
yeah.
America's Top Model a long time ago, the advice was to kind of like elongate your neck by sticking your chin out a little bit, which feels weird, but it tends to look better in photos. Any advice in terms of taking, I mean, in this photo age of
I think that, yeah, you know what? Everyone has their angles. Some people always like hold the phone lower and shoot up. Some people shoot up maybe because they have an unattractive, you know,
Double chin or
gobble.
whatnot.
So I think, I think actually, and what good photographers do is you play. You just have to kind of look and go,
And see
okay,
which
does this
one.
look good? No, and then just keep adjusting until you find something you like, and then take 1,000 photos and pick the one where you
Look the best.
look the
Right.
best. And then
Lastly, I think, you know, because we are running out of time, is any makeup lines that you are just like in love with, you think they're product. I mean, you mentioned the Mineral Veil from Hourglass as a primer. Anything that is like sort of in your bag, go to always
Yeah.
at all points in time.
Shuamura eyelash curler. They used to have stores here, and I think you can still get it online. It's really the best. And when I hand it to women, they're like, "Oh, this is the best. It's just the best."
Yeah.
And that's important. I would say a thing women don't do enough is curl their eyelashes. It makes
Yeah.
a huge difference. You don't need to wear as much mascara. It opens up your eye. It's like the best, easiest trick to do. You obviously do. I can see.
No, I don't. This
Oh,
is
you have
the,
curly lashes.
No, this is the Bad Gal Bang.
Oh.
From Benefit. That's like my new go-to.
It's like amazing.
And it curls your lashes
Amazing.
for you.
Because they do look curled.
Yeah, it's a weightless formula, and it like curls your lashes as you do it. I'm going to show you
see?
afterwards.
No, it's so good.
It's so
I learn
good.
about makeup from people all the time.
From just everyday Joes
You
like
know.
us.
yeah. No, it's so good.
I love Armani foundation.
Okay.
The luminous silk, the color range is really good from light to dark. I love. I just discovered the Cogendo.
Yep.
They make really beautiful foundations
I
and
didn't know they make
powders.
foundations.
And yeah,
Oh, wow.
a lot of the Japanese brands have really beautiful textures.
Yeah.
You know? They spend a lot of time
They
working
mill
on
those powders really
the powder is
beautifully.
like, yeah, it's beautiful. You know, and then for color, you know, there's just so many brands. I mean, you can always, you know, like a lipstick, you can MAC, Chanel, you know, there's NARS. There's just always, you know, so many things out there. I'm trying to think of what I think when I'm traveling, I always bring like concealers with me that I need. Those are like really important. My foundations, a loose powder, a good brow pencil is always nice. Clé de Peau is really expensive, but it has a really good duo powder, eyebrow powder. The blonde color's genius.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What about highlighters like that obviously won't look too greasy on cameras, but that just give you
There's
that
so
nice-
many good ones now. I think like, you know, 10 years ago, it was a little harder to find. I think there's so many brands that make it. I would just say, you know, you just put it on your hand. And if I don't like highlighters that have too much chunky glitter or
Yeah,
reflex.
that's right,
I
yeah.
like it to look more dewy.
Yeah, luminescent.
Luminous, yeah. I'm trying to. RMS Beauty has a really
Yeah.
pretty ones that
It's
are
coconut
natural
oil based.
looking. Yeah,
Oh, it is?
they're very
Okay.
beautiful. Their cream eyeshadows are really
I
nice.
gotta get that.
I like them a lot. Who else makes? I mean, I kind of just go through. I just kind of put stuff in my kit, and I'm like, oh, this is nice, and then I, you know,
And then
just
it-
move
yeah, you
on.
move
And
on.
I don't know if I have a holy grail. In the fashion industry, there's one from Medina Milano that Pat McGrath, I would say she kind of discovered it. And so
Does
anybody
that
who ever
brand still exist?
there's one store in Milan.
Oh my! I
So
used
when
to go
everybody
to-
goes to Milan, they always buy the stick.
Oh my gosh! I
Yeah.
used to go there. Used to be
In Soho.
in Soho where the Mac store is
Yeah.
now. One of the Mac stores was, and I used to go. I was in love with that brand,
Yeah.
and then it just disappeared, and I didn't know it still existed.
I know there's
Oh, I'm going
one
to Milan.
store, but that is a cult product, and it used to be. Now everybody knows about it, but it used to be if somebody had it, it was like you knew they were on her team
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they had her, you know, secret highlighter, you know, product. I do have that in my kit too. The color of it, it's like a champagne color that
Love
kind of
it.
lends itself to a lot of skin tones. I will say one thing. I do think makeup is getting more inclusive and better for darker skin tones.
Yeah,
Right.
for
No,
sure.
Than
and
before.
there's so many lines that are making a concerted effort, I think, to be more inclusive.
Yeah.
And it's made obviously my life much easier.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like trying to find, you know, a highlighter that might, you know,
that doesn't look
complement my
ashy.
exactly
Because it's a
my
different. It needs
tone.
to be warmer,
Right.
More
No,
golden or
absolutely.
bronze than, you know. It's something that might look good on Anne Hathaway is not going to necessarily look that good on Angela Bassett.
Right.
For
No,
sure.
that's right.
I just saw her at a shoot last week in LA, and
Yeah.
I was geeking out. So that's
Were
when
you?
she came into my mind. I was like, oh my god, it's Angela
She
Bassett.
looked beautiful. I saw her recently
She's
on the red carpet. She looked unreal. She did.
I don't know. I'll get her on
What-
this show
yeah,
and ask her what
please.
she's
What
doing.
she's
because
doing.
I
I
think
know.
that's what people just need to give up the
Unreal.
goods on like what they're doing.
What they're doing.
What
No
are
one-
you doing?
No one's
I think she's got a lot of genetic too, though.
Yeah,
I mean, her
for
arms.
sure.
Yeah,
were
but how
just
old?
so
But that
beautiful.
thing, she said that she got built for the Tina Turner movie,
Yeah.
and it's never gone away. Initially, she hated it, but it's lent itself to like really
Right.
just aging
Yeah.
so much better.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, yeah, I don't know what she's doing, but okay, we can wrap it up. This
Yeah,
is amazing.
no.
I mean,
No,
we
that was
could literally
fun.
go for another hour.
Yeah, I'll have to come back.
No, for
please,
sure.
We'll do
it'd be
another
so
one.
amazing.
Thank you, Quinn, so much. And
Yeah.
for you guys out there, please follow Quinn Murphy on Instagram. It's QUINN Murphy. And you follow him. He has a big following. He's always doing fun stuff. Please check him out.
Yeah, and also I guess follow us, right?
Yeah.
So we're on IG and Facebook, Radiance _ the letter N _ Rosé, and we're also on Facebook. And please subscribe to our podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts, and also we're on Spotify and
YouTube
and Podbean. And so thanks for checking in, and
Yeah.
we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah.
And use these tricks and keep glowing.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening. To keep up with new episodes, hit subscribe. For info on products or topics we've discussed, hop on over to our Instagram or Facebook page at Radiance and Rosé.